Hi, I'm Dr. Celine Gelgich.
And I'm Dr. Tori Miller. Welcome to Breaking the Rules. On Breaking the Rules, we talk about all things OCD.
Obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, impacts up to 1 to 2% of the population. We are here to provide not just education, but to inspire clinicians, families and people who are impacted by OCD to be able to access the treatment they need in order to get better.
Catch us every fortnight, wherever you get your podcasts. Hello there.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, how you going?
Pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty good. How are you going?
Oh, I'm good. On the home stretch. 10 weeks to go. Although by the time this video comes out, baby may have already come.
Baby might already be here.
Yes.
Another baby podcast, baby.
Yes.
Yes.
Very cute.
So cute. Segue.
Yes.
We're talking about parenting today.
Yes. I love that. Very smooth, Tori. Very smooth.
I swear I didn't plan that.
Yeah, you did. No, like as in like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So we were thinking, weren't we,
Mm-hmm.
that it's been a while since we've talked specifically about parental accommodation.
Yes.
That this is something that we have talked with
Eli Liebowitz.
Professor?
I would say professor, maybe.
Let's go Professor. Professor
Let's go
Eli
professor.
Liebowitz.
He's a professor in our eyes.
Yeah. From Yale.
Yeah.
And his amazing work. So for those who haven't listened,
Mhm.
go back and listen. It's an incredible episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that we've referenced parental accommodation, but it's been a while since we've really done a sort of a deep dive into what do we mean and why is it so important as clinicians that we are attending to this. Whether we're working with young people or adults, it actually doesn't matter. We're probably going to reference mostly today parental accommodations, but this is true for parents of adult children, partners.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah, any kind of
Anyone living with someone who has OCD.
housemates, siblings.
Yes.
It all applies.
Yep.
It all applies. So yeah, let's do it.
Let's kick it off. What do we mean when we're saying parental accommodation? Or any accommodation, accommodation in general, meaning making permission for OCD or giving permission for OCD to be there. And what I mean by that is when someone who is like maybe they're a housemate or a loved one, a child, whoever it is, asking you to either be involved in rituals and compulsions or seeking reassurance in some way, and we're kind of allowing it to be there. So because we don't want to see the person going through it suffer. Exactly. And we're well-meaning as well. It's not like we're doing it in some sort of way to be malicious. It comes from a place of love and like wanting to be understanding.
Yeah.
And to show compassion in some form of way.
Yeah.
But what you'll discover through this episode today and what Eli Liebowitz talks about as well is this idea of the more we accommodate, the worse OCD gets.
Yeah.
And what we want to be able to do is to not empower OCD.
Yeah.
We want to empower the person who has OCD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. That was a beautiful summary. And I think the reason that this is such a tricky area for a lot of people is because accommodations for our loved ones is actually really ordinary and a part of everyday life.
Yeah.
We make accommodations for all sorts of reasons, and that might be because, let's take simple example of a parent with a young child. Oh, like I'm scared there's a monster under my bed, and parents typically say, no, there's not. I'll check under your bed. Oh, look, no, there's no monster under there. And I've checked the cupboard, or like I've heard of people making like monster go away sprays or whatever, which are really cute. That they like spray under the bed, and kids go off to sleep and they feel really reassured. And it's a lovely sort of ritual that, you might do a couple of times. And there are all sorts of things that we do. Like I know for my children, for example, that my daughter has had, as she's been growing up, sort of just preferences around food and around, for example, not wanting certain things touching on her plate. She's just not super adventurous with food. She wants things to be separate. And we've accommodated that within reason because, you know what, it's not really doing any harm. And, you know, she just doesn't want certain flavors mixing. Okay, that's fine. And so parents do this. We all do it. We do it for our partners, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just the tricky thing isn't it, that when there's OCD in the picture, it unfortunately it perpetuates and maintains OCD.
Yeah.
And so people often end up in these sticky situations, these dilemmas where they've been accommodating for a long time and they thought they were doing the right thing.
Yes.
And then it goes too far and it doesn't stop. And what they thought was just a simple accommodation has become a beast that now controls the household and the relationship, and it becomes nasty and insidious, and it can't, and people don't know how to stop.
Yeah.
And it's really overwhelming, and it actually is actually something that has to be ceased in order for the person with OCD to recover.
Absolutely. And like by the time clients come to us, for example, it could be years.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't even know how we got here.
Yeah.
Because it's such a slow burn process.
Yeah.
And I think if you've got littlies, it's really hard to tell the difference between what sounds like OCD. Because a lot of the time, especially when kids are really little, it's not that obvious.
No, it's not.
It doesn't fit in with the typical themes that we would see with OCD. So it's so easy to miss and so easy to do.
And it could also be subclinical. It could also be, a developing OCD presentation that's not actually diagnosable yet.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you do go and seek help from a clinician, because there might be some separation anxiety or something else going on, reassurance actually is sometimes part of treatment because it can be really effective for anxiety disorders.
Yeah, like I will pick you up after school.
Yes.
I will be here at 3:00.
Yes,
you will
can
be
eat that.
Yes.
All of those things.
Yeah.
And so, but what we know about OCD is it's not an anxiety disorder. Anxiety is a huge component of it, but it very much is its own thing. And so... And for me, conceptually, I think this is one of the reasons why it stands alone. And there's talk about it going back in with the anxiety disorder. In terms of the DSM. So
do you think it will?
I don't know. There's talk about it, but I'm really curious to see what would happen from a treatment perspective if that was the case. Because for me, it helps me keep it separate.
Yeah,
because we treat it so differently.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a really easy trap to kind of fall into when we're accommodating with really little kids. With older adults or siblings or housemates or whatnot, or partners, older children, if we don't understand what OCD is, it's the same sort of trap that we fall into. It can be really easy to kind of start saying yes to things, or sometimes you just want to get out of the house.
Yeah, it's true.
And you just need to get the family moving.
Yeah, and what I reckon I also see with older teens and adults is the conundrum of the power that the person with OCD has in terms of, with a little kid who's having a meltdown, it's much more manageable. It might be distressing and exhausting and all of those things, but with an older teen or an adult who's having a meltdown, it can feel frightening.
Yeah.
It can feel really scary.
Yeah.
And so people are often really wanting to accommodate to make sure that a meltdown doesn't happen or ends as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have really serious threats sometimes, like, I'm going to hurt myself, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to cut myself, you don't understand me, or they might run away.
Raging, door slamming,
throwing things, being aggressive towards other siblings who they thought started it kind of thing, all those things. And they're really scary. That's really scary stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So we can really understand why accommodations occur and I think that this is the key, isn't it? Is that we know that accommodations come from a place of love and compassion. Yeah. It's just that if people want OCD to go or to reduce, the accommodations have to go.
They have to go too.
And Eli Liebowitz talks about this in a really nice way, doesn't he? Where he talks about the idea that one of the reasons why accommodations perpetuate or maintain OCD is because what we're doing is we're ultimately the subtext of accommodating someone when they're feeling really afraid or anxious, and we do what the OCD is telling them to do or telling us to do, is that when we do that accommodation, like we say, yeah, absolutely, I'll get you fresh tongs or whatever, we're saying, I don't believe that you can handle the anxiety that you're feeling. Yeah. I don't believe that you can tolerate panic. we'd better get rid of this as quick as possible because otherwise something bad might happen.
Yeah, we're sending the message that it's dangerous. Like we're reinforcing the message.
Absolutely. And that's often not the message that loved ones actually want to be sending.
Yeah.
And and when you spell it out like that, people are like, no, but that's not what I actually believe. I actually believe that they can handle it. Of course they can handle it.
Yeah, and there's a bit of an oh shit moment when we explain it to our clients like that. They're like, actually, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so important, isn't it? Because ultimately in therapy, what we're trying to do is to get our clients to believe in their capacity to tolerate discomfort and uncertainty and pain and waves of panic and really difficult emotions, and to learn that they pass on their own, that they don't have to intervene, that they don't have to do compulsions to have these things move on, and that they can get on with their day and they can live their life without being engaged in these compulsions. And so if we, as their loved ones, are playing along with OCD, there's no way they can learn that message.
Absolutely not. I 100% agree. Like we really need to be able to show our clients that they can do hard things and build their confidence because we're going to have emotions. We're feeling beings before we're thinking beings, right?
Yeah.
We feel things first. And so if we don't have role models in our life who show us how to be able to handle our emotions, maladaptive ways kind of creep in.
Yeah.
But if parents and loved ones learn how to be able, and this is the thing, they have to learn it for themselves too, right?
Yeah.
Because it depends on the role models we had in our own lives.
That's right. A lot of
and
people
all that sort of stuff.
aren't shown
Exactly.
as kids, are they?
Exactly. And we don't mean, like, it could also be well-meaning parents who, you know, you could have had your emotions and they don't want you to suffer. So they'll try and distract you, or they'll try and take it away from you, or they'll problem solve, or whatever else it is. And so it's
get you to think positive.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not necessarily about having massive trauma or attachment trauma or anything else like that. It could also be the other end of the spectrum where we don't necessarily, we get sent this message of feelings are not, shouldn't be there, I guess. Or we shouldn't have them. And so
the happiness trap, right?
Yes, exactly. And so when we kind of work with our families and loved ones to help them recognize this, because that's really what the treatment is, in a sense of we work with not necessarily the person with OCD, but with families and loved ones to teach them how they can sit with their own discomfort to be able to hold their loved one. And their loved one can also be in therapy, but they're doing their own thing and learning through exposure and all that sort of stuff. And we have lots of interesting reactions when we tell them that we're working with parents or loved ones about reducing accommodations. But really it's about this idea of learning how to build tolerance to those feelings, because we can't turn it off.
No.
We're going to have feelings whether we like them or not about lots of different things.
Yeah.
And not fueling OCD by reducing those accommodations is the best thing that we can do.
And I think this is what we often say, isn't it, about OCD treatment and when we do ERP, is that, yes, we're treating ERP, but it's also a beautiful framework for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it allows us to be able to not only hold our feelings, but to also be able to have tolerance to that uncertainty that creeps up. Because life is so uncertain.
Yeah.
There are so many uncertainties in life that we already sit with.
Yeah.
Right? We both drove here today.
Yeah.
How do we know our cars, well, we live in Melbourne, how do we even know our cars are still parked outside? It's a very high chance of them being stolen right now.
That's all I could do with a new car.
Yeah. You know, but like these little things that we do, we lock the front door when we leave the house, or, you know, we flick the switch off when you turn your hairdryer or hair straightener off, or whatever else it is, or you might have a doubt thought that creeps into your mind, so you're like, oh, I'll just quickly double check that, or you might be filling in bank details of a transfer and you might think, let me just make sure I've got this correct, or might be sending an important email to your boss or whatever else it is, or you might be answering a question on an exam at school.
Yep.
There are lots of things that we tolerate. Why is it that we can tolerate those but not others? I think that's a different episode altogether, and has a huge set in value base. But I think it does set us up for life in a really helpful way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about what it looks like in therapy.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we both work pretty similarly. Yeah. So look, I think I think when I first started, I probably wasn't as probably assertive as I am now about the importance of parents doing very specific work around reducing accommodations. I think at the beginning I was much more sort of casual and general about weaving it in here or there, but actually I think that the most effective outcomes comes from being quite specific about it. In an ideal world, I think we would spend quite a bit of time working with parents, and there's the beautiful space model that Eli Liebowitz has developed, which people can get. We're both trained in, and people can get their training in. But we also know that not all families can afford to have both their young person in therapy and themselves.
Yeah.
We know in Australia, Medicare doesn't cover parenting work particularly well. But also I definitely have worked with families who just get it really quick.
Yeah.
And actually only one.
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. 1 or 2 sessions, and their own kind of motivation and desire to read and to learn actually just a couple of sessions giving them some guidance is actually fine. So I think every case needs to be sort of assessed on its merit. But the way that I like to work is that part of the psychoeducation that I do with families in the beginning is very much around assessing for not only the compulsions that are happening, the obsessions, the OCD symptoms, but also the accommodations that are happening in the household. And that's with my adult clients too. If they live with a partner, if they're still living at home, I'm assessing who is maintaining what, and then talking about how that is going to be something that is going to have to reduce, and then making a plan as to how aggressively we address that, and whether that is in the very sort of structured 8 to 12 session space model which we can deliver, or whether it's 2 or 3 sessions and some guidance to get people on their way.
How do you find parents react to that or respond to that when you first introduce it? Do you get like a lot of pushback?
No, I actually not at the beginning. I think what I tend to experience is that most of the time families really want things to be different, and so they're very willing, and they're often asking, what can I do? Whatever it is, my child is suffering so much, our family's a wreck, whatever it is, right? I think it's a couple of sessions later when we're talking about what actually has to happen and about the notion of reducing accommodations and what they have to do. I think where things get tricky, because what understandably bubbles up for families is terror and fear. And the question I get a lot of, is it dangerous?
Yeah.
But if I don't do that accommodation, my child will be so terrified. I don't feel that's safe for them. I want to protect them from those emotions. And I think that that's where the sticking point is trying to help parents see that emotions aren't dangerous, and that and to believe that it can change with different choices. Yeah.
And we have to kind of go through that intensity first in order for change to happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of like shit has to get worse before it gets better again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then I think what parents are often expecting is when they say, what can I do to support? They're often thinking really understandably in terms of how can I support my child to change?
Yes.
So they're thinking about themselves as, how can I be a coach? Tell me what their homework is. I'll make sure they get it done.
Which is how we used to do parent work.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But it's different now.
Yeah. And so, and they are desperate for their kids to stop doing compulsions. And so it's really hard for them to let go of that idea that their role is actually not to make their child stop engaging in compulsions, because you can't make your child. You can influence, you can talk, you can build awareness and insight and willingness and all of those things, but you can't make them stop.
No, of course not.
You can encourage them to stop, but you can't make them.
Yeah.
But what parents can do, what they actually have control over, is their own accommodating and stopping their own accommodating. And that's a hard thing for parents to shake.
I think so. But that's also one of my favorite tenets of the space program, I think, because it helps once parents grasp that concept, and especially the parent who is probably a little bit more authoritarian, as opposed to the other parent who's a bit more permissive. There's usually one is
often.
one and the other is the other. Once they grasp that concept, it drops the power struggle really quickly and starts changing the dynamic in the family. It's actually really beautiful.
It is.
And really motivating for parents to keep going, because there isn't that power struggle anymore, and the daily arguing and the yelling and the screaming and the fighting and all of it.
I know, and families often report that after doing this, that they feel a greater sense of intimacy and connection and closeness.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how they notice OCD reducing and the space that opens up inside their family for time spent together, which they just love and thought they'd lost forever, you know, and it's actually a beautiful thing. But those first few sessions, when you're wanting a family to get to sort of be teaching the concept of it, getting them on board, and also asking them to have faith.
Yes.
To have faith in the process.
Yeah. Which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
I often describe it as, I often say, I'm asking you to jump off a cliff right now with me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that there's a safety net down there, but you can't see it. I wouldn't want to jump either. But you got to trust the process.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for this. No. Absolutely. I love seeing that change as well in terms of like families just really coming together, because there's a real grief around when families come to us around what they've lost.
Yeah.
And thinking that it's forever, and the idea of what they're losing as well in terms of a future with their kids. It's like sometimes working with teens, especially, like one that comes to mind was someone who hadn't hugged their parent for actually I've had a few of these
me too.
for years. Yeah. And it's just so heartbreaking and so sad. But I think once parents can kind of wrap their head around the concepts that you've been talking about so beautifully, and we see that change, it's so motivating for a lot of families. But we also see the other side of that too, because for some families it takes a lot longer for that shift to happen. Yeah. Understandably, there's other complexities involved, or sometimes parents are really struggling with those concepts because they've got their own stuff going on, which is understandable. Yeah. And what we see is OCD sometimes reacting to that and getting worse. And the other thing we do see too is the long-term, I guess, damage, quote unquote, of accommodations not being removed. You know, parents kind of get caught up in this idea of, I don't want to cause harm to my child. Yeah. And continue to kind of give in to those accommodations because the short-term pain is really intense. But what we're advocating is short-term pain for long-term gain. Yeah. So it's a temporary increase in distress. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I've had clients come back really shitty going, fucking God, it's getting worse. This isn't helping, blah, blah, blah. Like, is this even what we're meant to be doing? Are you sure you even know what you're talking about? You know, lots of anger, understandably. But us holding that and making room for that and moving through it and working through it goes a long way and shows actually the accommodations are making it worse. Yeah. And it's getting stronger and it's getting louder and you're becoming more and more unhappy. Yeah. But if we keep pushing through and working on reducing and working through those internal hurdles, the change happens. Yeah. So for some families it can take longer, and what feels damaging in the short term, if left untreated, is actually worse in the long run. Yeah, that's right. So
and
I think it's worth it.
And understandably, sometimes in the mess of it all, parents struggle to believe that, or struggle to see that.
Yeah.
But I agree, and we've seen it. We've seen that it's worth it. Yeah, haven't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I find clinicians can push back on it too sometimes. Have you noticed that with supervisees?
Yeah. I think because I think as clinicians, we're our training is often to focus on the patient. I think, on the client.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things for, like, you know, if you're a clinician listening to this or watching this, one of the hardest things that come up for a lot of supervisees is, but what if the child starts threatening self-harm or suicide? What do I do then? Yeah. Because they feel a sense of responsibility, like I caused this sort of thing. And so for me, the message is always, we've still got to hold the boundary, but we need to be validating, compassionate, but not accommodate still.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if there is a threat, we have to take it seriously.
Yeah, that's right.
And follow through with what we would normally do.
Develop a safety plan as clinicians
Yeah.
with the young person and the family.
Yeah.
And have a family act on that safety plan.
Yeah.
If a young person threatens suicide or
Yeah.
threatens to run away or
Yep.
threatens self-harm
Yeah.
or engages in self-harm, then we
Just as we would any
respond.
other
Yep, if they were presenting
situation.
with those behaviours in another situation. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a reason not to reduce accommodation.
Yeah.
Because if those are the behaviours that a young person is choosing to engage with to avoid distress, then that is something that really needs to be attended to in therapy. And that just adds another layer of things for us to help them with.
Exactly right.
Yeah. If their distress is so great and their tolerance is so low, that's a really important thing to know and to integrate into therapy. It's not a reason not to reduce accommodations.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
For me, it's a signal of just showing that we've got more work to do.
Yeah.
And it just shows how unwell the client is in terms of or how low their tolerance is to emotion, and providing more scaffolding for them to be able to build that tolerance.
Yeah.
But like you said, not a reason to avoid the accommodation.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's not a reason not to do it, right?
Exactly.
Integrate it into the assessment.
Yes.
Make sure it's something that you're thinking about and talking with your clients' loved ones about.
Yeah.
Be brave, be bold, go there, recommend parent work or partner work or sibling work or whatever it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Get those changes happening in the family. It'll be amazing what a difference it makes.
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, to your client's OCD.
Yeah. And bonus, it works just as effectively if the person with OCD isn't in therapy. So they don't actually have to be in therapy.
Yeah, that's right.
So the data is actually amazing on that. It shows efficacy and change, even if clients aren't in therapy. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. You got nothing to lose.
You got nothing to lose.
Yeah. All right. Good
Thank
one,
you
Celine.
so much for listening and for watching. We'll catch you next time.